And welcome back, SacTown Underground family. Celestial here. Welcome back to the month of October. We have had some exciting things happening and we can't wait to share it with you. In this week's episode, of course, we're going to feature our Sacramento 365 calendar. We're bringing you guys Frankenwaffle, frighteningly cheap drinks and sausages, owned by Mr. Justin E. Lear. We will have Wide Open Walls, Mr. Dave Malby in an in-studio interview. Of course, bringing you sports, we have our own Keith Jouganatos. And welcome Hidden Gems. And welcome back. As you guys know, we have our community calendar powered by Sacramento 365 to give you all the events that you want to be at and want to see. So many events in so little time, but go out there and enjoy some of them, guys. Now let me tell you, I had the great privilege of going to visit Frankenwaffle in its third week of business, owned by Mr. Justin E. Lear. He features frighteningly cheap beers, sausages from Marantz with waffles. You could put it on a bun with sauerkraut, but don't let me talk about it. Let's take a look at some of that footage. SacTown Underground. I am here at Frankenwaffle, located at 1119 Alhambra Street, and I am standing alongside Mr. Justin Lear, owner of the establishment, Frankenwaffle. This is a very cool concept. You have scary movies playing in the background, and the beers. Tell me a little bit about what you hope to focus with these.
One of our guiding principles is sourcing locally, so we really want to support the local community. We've got a great craft beer scene in California, so we have all California craft on here, or California-ish. We've got one from Reno, but everyone else, we've got Claim Steak right here from Sacramento, Revision, they're out of Sparks, Nevada. We've got Mike Hess out of San Diego, Lead Dog out of Reno, Nevada, and good old Sierra Nevada, kind of the grandfather of craft beer, Chico, California. Same thing up here for our cans, so try to give people a good selection. Same thing with our sausages. We locally source those from Marantz Sausage Kitchen, and our bread comes from Grateful Bread off Fair Oaks, so we really try to, bring the local community out.
And so tell us a little bit about the food selection here. What inspired beer and sausages?
Franks and waffles. Well, late night food in Austria when I visited there was sausages and waffles and schnitzel, and I loved it. I thought it was great. Don't have a fryer here, so I can't do schnitzel, but I can do sausages and waffles, and they've been pretty popular.
So, scary movies. Is that going to be featured throughout the entire duration of your business?
All scary movies all the time. I think we'll have to take a little break during football season from time to time, the Niners and Raiders.
Sports, guys. You guys can watch sports here.
You can come in and watch the Niners and Raiders games. So we will take little breaks for football, but other than that, all scary movies all the time. We have a full website, so you can visit us at Frankenwaffles, so pluralize that, so frankenwaffles.com. Our menu's updated, our tap list is updated, and we have a calendar of events.
Is there anything else you'd like to relate to the audience that makes you a special place here in a really actually cool scene? And there's not too many other restaurants around here, and so what would make people come out and join you here?
Well, I think Frankenwaffle is Sacramento's only horror-themed bar, and I've always got a random movie, a random record spinning, and some random sausages, but it's always delicious. Like I said, locally sourced, so if you're local to the community or just want to get a taste of what Sacramento's like, if you're visiting from out of town, come on down and check us out.
And you guys are open late night as well, right?
We are, Friday and Saturday till 2 a.m.
And there you go, guys, a local gem in the community. If you guys have time, definitely come out and support this new business with a really awesome and spooky concept. And it's great for friends just to gather and enjoy each other's company and the ambiance of something different. Thank you very much, Justin, for allowing us into your establishment. I'm ready to try some sausages, ladies, right? Thank you, guys. See you next time. And again, guys, do yourselves a favor. Go get you some sausages. Late night, a great place for beers and friends, building our community. Thank you, Justin, for that. All right, and so now we move on to Wide Open Walls, which was hosted at the Crocker Art Museum. And Miss Alma had the privilege of going out there and checking it out. Let's take a look at some of that. Aren't we lucky to have advocates like Mr. Patrick who take their time to beautify our beautiful city? And I hope you guys take the time to go out and look at some of those murals. They're going to be so beautiful. Earlier today, I had the great honor to speak to someone who honestly I believe is going to be in textbooks one day. Mr. Dave Malby, a jack of all trades, entrepreneur, inventor, anything that you can think about. Let's take a look at some of that. SacTown Underground, Celestial Thomas here. I am sitting alongside Mr. Dave Malby. Dave, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, I've been an entrepreneur my whole life, actually. The thing is, I've been involved in video and photography I had darkroom when I was a kid, but I've been doing video for at least 10 years now. And I actually have my own studio in West Sacramento, and I use it primarily for promoting my own businesses and whatever I'm doing. So I got into what they call data conversion, and that was pretty cool, but you really had to up it all the time. There's always a new drive. But bottom line is I was getting the old 9-track tapes off of mainframe computers, and I pop them into what I call the toaster, which was a big IBM bulky thing that hooked up to my computer, and then I would just push a button, and it would take the data, which was in EBCDIC format, and put in ASCII, and I just push a button, and then cut. And Scripps Institute brought over a truckload. Yeah.
You have an incredible mind, and I wish you nothing but success with your entrepreneurship. What do you, you don't want to divulge that here, but do you feel there's anything else in the horizons for you that you're kind of working on?
My main business is cam stands. I invented the cam stand. It's going on 14 years now.
Okay.
I call it the selfie can. What it is it has a little top that snaps on. Oh, just crush that can. And it holds your cell phone. I also have this where it's actually, not only will you could put a GoPro on there too. So,
awesome.
So people are into GoPros.
Yes.
You could use that in the snow. You put it in the snow and you could do your thing and have it all photographed. I mean,
you're an amazing human being. I thank you very much for honoring us and being here on our show.
Well, I enjoy being here, really.
Is there anything else you'd like to add? Good?
No,
all right. Well,
good.
thank you. SacTown Underground, Mr. Dave Malby, guys. Thank you very much. Check him out.
Well, thank you for having me.
You know it. Wasn't Dave a pleasure? He is so smart. And if you guys took nothing of that, just know that this is pretty much an iconic piece in history, and it is featured at the Smithsonian, as he mentioned, as one of their key pieces. So I think really he is going to be part of those textbooks in your children's history books. So make sure to look out for that. We move on to sports. Keith Jouganatos, so impassioned. Let's hear what he has to say about what's going on in that realm. Take a look.
And hello to you once again. I'm Keith Jouganatos. We hope you're having a great month of October, and this is the sports section. The National Football League is celebrating currently its 100th year anniversary. The game speaks for itself. Players, coaches, certain games, certain plays, and certain moments have made the game what it is, a national pastime. Yet there was one game that changed the National Football League forever. January 12th, 1969, Miami, Florida, the Orange Bowl. Baltimore Colts, New York Jets, Super Bowl III. It's a game of the prototypical underdog versus David versus Goliath tactic that everyone had to see in National Football League. But in order to understand the game that took place, you have to understand the backstory. Post-World War I, the National Football League was the most dominant major football power league in the entire North America, forcing other rival programs, other rival football associations to either crumble or merge with them. The National Football League post-World War I was the most powerful football league in North America, forcing rival leagues to either join or crumble. They had all the great players, they had all the money, and there was no one that came close to them. Yet in 1960, the arrival of the American Football League, better known as the AFL, changed the landscape of professional football forever. The AFL was able to survive primarily because they had the funds to survive, and that was in large part due to the fact they were the first pro football league to have its own national TV contract. Leading up to that, certain professional football teams had to go and get their own individual TV contracts. There was no set contract for a league, but the AFL changed the game forever. And all that money allowed them to go out and bid for players coming out of college against the NFL. It got so crazy there were bidding wars during the mid-60s between the NFL and the AFL. One of these bidding wars that tipped the scale forever and changed the landscape of professional sports was Broadway Joe Namath. Joe Namath out of the University of Alabama possessed the looks of a movie star and the arm of a top 5 quarterback. He was vouched for by the Arizona Cardinals and the New York Jets, but Namath elected to go with the Jets, swinging the power forever in the history of the National Football League and the American Football League. Namath was not your ordinary superstar athlete celebrity. There had never been somebody like Namath who possessed the sex appeal and the charisma of a movie star like James Dean and the arm of a Jouganatos. Namath changed football forever just by his dashing looks, his cocky personality, and how he was able to somehow date models at night and come out the next morning and throw 5 touchdowns. So here we were. The NFL and the AFL then proposed to have a merger at some point. In the mid-60s, Pete Rozelle and the AFL associates agreed to have a merger. They would have one single draft. At some point, both leagues would merge as one. And they would play a championship game at the end of every season to decide who was the dominant program in North American football, the NFL or the AFL. Still, they were two worlds apart, two different entities in itself. The NFL resembled what middle America was. It was classy. It was business suit and tie. It was middle America. It was the silent majority. The NFL represented what middle America was. Business, suit and tie, crew cut, no nonsense, say your prayers, go to work, and have a good life. The AFL, on the other hand, represented what America was becoming. Rock and roll, revolution, the 1960s, flower power, just protests, everything. Rebel, anarchy. It was high passing games. It was high octane offenses. But still, before Super Bowl III, no one imagined that the AFL and the NFL were on two different levels. The NFL blitzed the AFL in back-to-back Super Bowls in both 1 and 2. The Packers demolished the Chiefs in Super Bowl I. Then they demolished the Oakland Raiders in Super Bowl II. The NFL was the dominant power in football. And in Super Bowl III, they were going to make the cocky Joe Namath relive that and remember who they were. Representing the NFL in Super Bowl III were the Baltimore Colts. They were 13-1 on the season. They had the number 1 ranked defense in the entire National Football League. They had 10 straight games where they won consecutively. Of those 10 straight games, they won 7 of those by a shutout. At the time, they had a league low 144 total points scored on their defense, which was an NFL record at the time. No one thought the Colts were going to lose. There was no debate who was going to win, Jets or Colts. The Colts were going to beat down the Jets. And again, for the third straight year, the NFL was going to embarrass the AFL on a national level in the Super Bowl. The Colts were going to blitz them. They were going to make Namath pay. They were going to bruise him up, and they were going to go home with the trophy. Everyone thought that. Everyone but Broadway Joe Namath, who 3 nights before at a Miami banquet hall during an award ceremony yelled out that they were going to win the game. He guaranteed it. This was revolutionary. No professional athlete ever just came out in the media and guaranteed a win. It was just something you didn't do. But then again, everything about Joe Namath was something no one thought professional athletes should do. Professional athletes weren't supposed to party. Professional athletes weren't supposed to cater to models and pinup girls and then have this wild sex life where everything was out of order. But that was Joe Namath, a revolutionary. January 12th, 1969, Miami, Florida, in the Orange Bowl, the Jets bum rushed the Colts. They figured out the blitz perfectly. Namath, with his quick release, was able to get it to his running backs and his tight ends downfield no problem, exposing the Colts' defensive passing game for what it was, mediocre. And when it was all said and done, the New York Jets had won the Super Bowl 16-7. And all that stood was Namath running off the field with that number 1 finger in the air. He had completed the biggest upset in the history of professional football. Joe Namath and the New York Jets did that. Say what you want about Namath's career. Maybe it was overrated. Maybe it didn't live up to the hype that everyone thought it was going to be. Many question why Namath's in the Hall of Fame at all. So I'm here to tell you. Namath won the most singular, biggest football game in the history of professional football. Namath did that. He gave the AFL relevance. The NFL is not what it is today if Joe Namath does not win that football game. Make no question about it. Namath changed the landscape of professional football forever. He embarrassed the Indianapolis Colts, the NFL representative. The hierarchy of professional football was forever changed. Now the NFL is just the NFL. There's the AFC and the NFC. But back then, that was something special. No one had ever did what the New York Jets did that day. And professional football and sports was changed forever because of it. And that's going to do it for the sports section. I'm Keith Jouganatos. Have a great month of October. Better month of November.
Another in-studio interview today. It was so special to me, and I hope you guys take the time to really absorb the information that is being given by Mr. Barry Accius. SacTown Underground, welcome back. Another amazing guest that we have sitting alongside me, Mr. Barry Accius. What brought me to him and to meet him is his
entrepreneur spirit
yes, with his hidden gems thrift store located on
2245 Florence Road. We call it Florence Square.
There you go.
The new black Mecca.
And we had a very long discussion because I walked in right before they were about to close. I had a very little bit amount of time to get an outfit going for a model shoot that I had. And he was so informative, not just about what I can do. He was trying to sell me. He was like, oh, yeah, get that. And I was like,
you look a good girl. This should be your Tuesday outfit.
I don't like to be sold, but he did it with finesse. So
yes.
I was like, all right, let's just spend this money.
I have everything from young men, young women, from older, you know what I'm saying, plus size. We have a little bit of everything for everyone. It's so beautiful when I watch people walk in and they get an item from someone that said, I'm done with it, I've just used it all up, and they just refurbish it and just recycle it and make it new. It is the dopest feeling because we were able to connect the dots, as well as me and Passion have a good eye for fashion, as well as my daughter when she comes and helps out. So we kind of put some things together, and when we watch our people coming in and they're just so excited, Hidden Gems really speaks for the store.
Yes.
You will find a lot of hidden gems in there.
And so I always like to ask people, for your mission statement in general in life, what do you feel you've embodied thus far? If you can sum it up in one sentence.
Impact lives in a positive way. My hashtag is impact. The impact is real. And I remember saying that, and I was like, okay, the impact of real sounds good. But then I realized as I created my Voice of the Youth program, how many young people's lives I've impacted and what impact means, right? Do you impact a person in a positive way, or do you impact a person in a negative way? And I've been in my life impacting individuals in a negative way. So this is kind of my redemption. When I created my Voice of the Youth program in 2008, was a redemption of making sure I impacted young people the positive way. We do a lot of social advocacy. We do a lot of volunteer work. We do a lot of work in the school districts. We do a lot of work in the community overall. And one of the bigger things that we've been doing now of late in the last 3 years is getting our young people some real employment. We have a program called Summer Nights of Impact, and this year we were able to hire 30 youth from 14 to 25. Wow. And all 30 youth were able to get stipends. All 30 youth were able to be a part of this youth development program that we have, as well as get the kind of social components, being able to deal and work with other young people that they probably wouldn't even see on the street regularly.
So this program, and it's for the jobs that they did obtain, are they sponsorships from like other local maybe shops, or where are they coming from?
Well, we've had some good relationships like Sierra Health Foundation.
What is that?
Sierra Health Foundation.
Sierra Health Foundation.
And as well as California Endowment helped us this particular time to get this Summer Nights of Impact program going for this summer in 2019. But a lot of that is just us, our organization, Voice of the Youth, with my partners, Escape Velocity, Crystal Bowl Book Club, and others, to raise the money to make sure that we have some money to be able to hire these young people and be able to give them some opportunity. Because a lot of these young people, they need jobs, they don't have the job experience, or they're not old enough to work. So we want to be able to be that component to say, hey, we don't care how old you are, we just want to know that you have the ability to be trained and you have the ability to work.
So that is your focal point, or what other components in RAP?
Well, of course we focus on, college readiness as well. We want to make sure that these young people, if they're not going to go focus on going to college full time, at least when they get out of high school, so they can kind of figure out who they are, get at least 2 years under your belt. Our young people, when they're coming into our program, they learn the truth about who they really are, and it identifies with them, and it changes culture.
There you have it, SacTown Underground. Thank you very much, Mr.
Yes,
Accius, for bringing your insight and wisdom to our studio.
Appreciate you.
Back to you guys.
Next on SacTown Underground, world premiere of Need You by the band Stereo Love.
I need a little bit of your time. 'Cause my age never heard of supply. Bye.